What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast as part of the Man Cave Podcast. I'm Dan Casper, as always. We're going to talk some, Brewers here as spring training is underway. We've got our first spring training game coming up in less than a week. Brandon Woodruff had a very good outing. His first, I shouldn't say outing, had his first session going up against live hitters, the first time since 2023. Hit that up a little bit. I also want to throw out a question to all of you Brewers fans. Who is the Brewer that has the most to prove this year? All right, so we're going to hit that up. Quick housekeeping notes, though. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to both the Man Cave Podcast and the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast because it is a part of the Man Cave Podcast. If you can give it a 5-star rating and a positive review like on Apple and Spotify, that'll help others find the podcast. Talk a little Brewers. The question I threw out to you, and I'll get to my pick here in a second, but the Brewers player that you think has the most to prove this year, send those on over. Let me know. But Friday was a big day. Okay, Friday was a big day for Brandon Woodruff and for the Milwaukee Brewers. The first time that he faced live batters, for the first time since 2023. I think a lot of people were holding their breath. There was probably a lot of nerves going on out there, whether it was from Woody, his teammates, his coaching staff, Pat Murphy, Matt Arnold, all those guys. And it sounds like Brandon Woodruff had a, quote, extraordinarily exciting day. Pat Murphy said he had a great day. Said after discussion with Brandon Woodruff the day after, especially encouraging, his fastball touched 92 miles per hour. So Pat Murphy was excited after that. Brandon Woodruff saying, "You'll probably see a smile on my face for a lot of the day. Now I want to go in there and break down the mechanics. I want to go down and break down the metrics of everything and try to tidy that up. But that's going to take time. I feel good. Stepping on that mound, I didn't feel uncomfortable. Obviously, I was amped up for it, but I didn't feel out of place." And he faced William Contreras. He faced Jake Bauers. 25 pitches. Adam McCulvey posted a video up there. Could hear a hell yeah, woo. High fives, hugs afterwards. So, I mean, it sounds like it went incredibly well for Brandon Woodruff. The next test, though, as we know, it's been a couple days removed here. We'll see how he's, recovering and facing, or how he's, bouncing back and such. But Woody also said, I was a little nervous, jittery. I mean, it's the first time in a year and a half. I think it went a lot better than I expected it to, which was what I kind of needed. I needed this. I needed to face hitters. I needed Bauers and Williams to step in that box. You know what I mean? Like, you've got an all-star Contreras stepping in the box as the first hitter you've seen in a year and a half. You can't help but get a little adrenaline going. So that's a positive. That's a big-time positive for Brandon Woodruff in his step, his long, first step in a long recovery. Some other good news, too. Christian Yelich, talking to the media, coming to camp, says, quote, "I don't see any reason why I won't be ready for opening day. I saw before I came out here that I might be a question mark for opening day, and I'm not sure where that came from. Unless something crazy happens here, I don't see why I wouldn't be ready." So there you go. Christian Yelich says he's going to be out there opening day. Yelich did say that he would like to continue playing left field. Pat Murphy apparently seemed to agree, saying that Yelich is still our left fielder. So it'll be... I really don't know how this is going to play out in the outfield. I really, really don't with Cheerio and such. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch and follow throughout spring training, but also in regular season. And, it's 162 games. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to have off days and such. But when you've got Mitchell, Frelick, a Gold Glove winner, Yelich coming back, Jackson Cheerio, like, the thing is like, I don't want, and this doesn't take anything away from Yelich. I think we want Yelich at his best from the offensive standpoint. I mean, he's a good outfielder, but I think we want to, there's a little bit more pressure, I think, on Yelich to be a big-time offensive threat this year with no Willy Adames in that lineup. And you look at, okay, where's the power going to come from? And one obvious pick is got to be Yelich at this point. So we want him. That should be where our focus is at. So I'm really curious to see how this thing's going to shake out, or how Pat Murphy's going to do it. Now, I'm sure they got a game plan and such, but it's going to be interesting. It's really going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. And if you want to say Yelich is the guy that's got the Brewer that has the most to prove this year, you'd be right. If you want to say Brandon Woodruff is the Brewer that's got to be is the guy that has the most to prove, you'd be right. In fact, that's Adam McCalvy's pick. If you want to say it's Jackson Cheerio to prove that last year wasn't just, a rookie coming out, or, I mean, he didn't really start off in a bang, but, most to prove in terms of, like, can he do it again? Can he do a little bit more? Right? Because there's going to be higher expectations for the youngster. Tobias Myers. You can make the case for him. Dude was the best starting pitcher at the end of the season for a big chunk, second half of the season. Could he be the guy with the most to prove to, like, okay, prove last year, was it a fluke, dude? Can you go do it again? If you want to say, I mean, maybe Salford. I think the guy that I'm going with, though, and that's the thing is, if you want to say Yelich, you want to say Cheerio, you want to say Tobias, you want to say whoever, there's a bunch of different guys you could go in there. I'm going to go a little bit of a different route and just be a little bit different in this. And my pick for the guy with the most to prove was also my wild card pick. I'm going to go Garrett Mitchell. Because this is still a guy that there is a ton of hype and expectations surrounding him. Again, I'll bring it back to when in the offseason MLB Network did their top 10 at every position based off metrics and all that sort of stuff. And Garrett Mitchell was already ranked, not just in the National League, all of Major League Baseball, as the 8th best center fielder in Major League Baseball. All right. But this guy has been hurt for the last couple of years. He's missed big chunks of the season the last couple of years. We saw the Brewers towards the end of the regular season inserting him as the 3-hitter, 4-hitter. And I know that was a point of frustration for some Brewers fans because at that point he kind of wasn't hitting. They're like, get him out of that spot. But the Brewers obviously feel like he's a guy that can do some damage in that spot. So I think the guy, for me, if I went with a little bit of a different route, I'm going to go with the Brewer that has the most to prove this year is Garrett Mitchell. For one, being the everyday starting center fielder, solidifying that. 2, staying healthy. Can he go out there and put together a full season? No, I mean, asking a guy to play 162 now this day and age is unrealistic. But, 130? 120 some games? What should that line be at? Just staying healthy and being out there. 3, showcasing you can be a guy that can bring you a little power, can bring you a little bit more to the offense, maybe slots into that Willy Adames spot in the batting order. So I'm going to go with Garrett Mitchell because there still is a lot of talk about that guy. There still is a lot of excitement around that guy. And I get it. But with the injuries and the limited amount of time we've actually seen him, I want to see a little bit more. I want to see a bigger sample size from him. Okay? I want to see a little bit from that. I was just, I know I keep bringing up that top 10, but I mean, like, I don't even think Terang, who won Gold Glove, who was awarded the best defender, was even named as a top 10 second baseman in Major League Baseball for that stuff. I'd have to double check, but I don't think he was. I know Sal Frelick wasn't listed as a top 10 right fielder. Yelich and Chirio were listed as top 10 for left fielders. But that's high praise for a guy like Garrett Mitchell, for a guy that's been bagged up and we haven't seen a ton of action from yet. So that's the guy. He's my wild card guy for this year, who I think, okay, if he stays healthy and he's a guy that can contribute from the offensive standpoint, that's a guy that can do a lot of good for this team and help out this team a lot. But also, to me, he's kind of the big question mark. But again, if you want to pick Yelich because, okay, health, also show last year's first half of the season wasn't a fluke that you were hitting over 300 an all-star starter, I agree with you. You want to say it's Brandon Woodruff coming back from injury? I agree with you. You want to say it's Tobias Myers to show, like, okay, guys continuing to trend upward, show last year, like, you're going to continue to ascend? I agree with you. I agree with a lot of guys out there. But if I had to pick one and kind of go a little bit of a different route, I'm going to go Garrett Mitchell. And that is going to do it for us on this episode of the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast and the Man Cave Podcast, because this podcast is a part of the Man Cave Podcast. Until next time, I'm Dan Casper, and we'll talk to you on the next episodes of either the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast or the Man Cave Podcast.